All right. Good morning, everyone. So happy when you are all here. Today, we are going to have a webinar training from Victoria University of Wellington, one of the best universities of New Zealand. My name is Hương from Yes Education. Along with me today, we have Mr. Dean, the representative of the university. So in this webinar, Dean will bring us full of overview information related to the university, including key selling points, admission process or scholarship information, supports for international students, and many more. So during Dean presents, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to text us in the Q&A box. So we will answer at the end of this webinar. So now I would like to invite Dean to start the training.
Thank you very much, Hương, for inviting me over today. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining Yes Education's webinar along with Victoria University of Wellington. My name is Dean. I am the International Manager for Southeast Asia. I'm based in Vietnam, so very much similar to the same time zone as where you are. I believe from Laos, from Cambodia, a little bit behind Myanmar at this time. So as Huang mentioned during my presentation, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box, or actually you can kick off right away. If you have any questions that you want to ask about New Zealand, visa, immigration, or even study pathways, you can always put them in the chat box. And after the presentation, I'll try to keep it very short and concise so that you can have more time to ask your questions. Okay? So without further ado, I would like to share my screen. And if you can see my screen, Ji-Hoon, if you can confirm that you can see my screen, that'd be great as well.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. My laptop has been acting up recently, so I'm not sure if everything is smooth at this point. So, do you see the screen only, or you see the project screen, Ji-Hoon?
It is not full.
Not full? Okay. One sec.
Recording in progress.
How about now? Is it all good? Okay. All right. Thank you very much again for those who just joined. My name is Dean. I am the International Manager for Southeast Asia here at Victoria University of Wellington in the capital city of New Zealand. So, if you have not seen the map of New Zealand, on the left-hand side of yours, it is the map of New Zealand. So, New Zealand has two islands, the North and the South Islands, right? And a lot of things happen in the north of the country, and we have a lot of bigger cities in the north of the country. So we have Auckland, the biggest city of New Zealand, over there on the up top knob over there, and then we have Wellington, this third largest city in New Zealand, the capital city on the southern tip of the North Island. We are not the biggest, but we are the capital city of New Zealand. So it has a lot to do with what we offer as a university over here. So in terms of size, we are very much pretty similar to the UK's. However, in terms of population, we are way smaller with over 5.2 million people. Within Wellington region, we have over 500,000 people. Within the city center, we have over half of them, which is equivalent to 250,000 people over here. And we are an English-speaking country. However, there are three official languages spoken here in New Zealand, which includes English, Maori, and New Zealand Sign Language. It has also a lot to do with the courses and the job opportunities after your students graduate from here. So remember the three languages spoken in New Zealand: Maori, English, and sign language. And from Southeast Asia, from where you are, Vietnam, Myanmar, Cambodia, or Laos, you can fly over to Beijing, China, or Shanghai, or Singapore, and then from there you can fly over to Auckland. Or you can fly over to Sydney or Melbourne in Australia. Of course, you need to have a visa first, and then fly 3 more hours to Wellington directly as well. Now, let's talk about opportunities because I know that a lot of your students might consider New Zealand as the destination for immigration pathway. I am not a licensed immigration advisor, so I am not allowed to talk more about specific cases. However, with this right, with this policy, they are published on Immigration New Zealand website, INZ's website. So you can refer to the INZ website for all immigration related policies. So here's the summary of what we are offering in New Zealand. After your students complete a level 7, which is equivalent to bachelor's degree to master's, PhD at level 9 or level 10, your students are eligible to apply for what we call a 3-year post-study work visa. It's up to 3 years. For master's and PhD, it is automatic 3 years after they graduate once they apply. However, for the level 7, the bachelor degrees, they will have to be depending on the length of study. For example, if they're studying for 3 years in New Zealand in any university, they can stay up to 3 years. However, if they studied less than 3 years, it might impact their length of the post-study work visa. So be careful when you counsel your students when it comes to the post-study work visa. Within the time of study in New Zealand, students are allowed to work from 20 to 40 hours a week, depending on whether it is going to be falling in their study terms or after they within their scheduled break. For example, if they are studying within the study term, they'll be able to work 20 hours a week. If they have a scheduled break like summer or winter break, they can work up to 40 hours a week. The minimum wage right now in New Zealand is over $23 per hour before tax, and that should cover them the living expenses in New Zealand. So in short, there are a lot of opportunities for students once they get to New Zealand from the moment they start studying. Of course, they have to be over 18 to be able to work in New Zealand. Okay, that is enough about work rights in New Zealand. Now let's talk about universities in New Zealand. We have 8 public universities in New Zealand, all within top 2% in the world, and Vic is one of them. We are top 1% universities in the world for 15 subjects and top 1 in New Zealand for research intensity by BPRF, the government evaluation funding. And
I
we are
did.
one of the,
Sorry,
sorry,
for interrupting you. I think you are still showing the first slide of the presentation, and also it is not full.
thank you very much for the reminder. I think something is wrong with my laptop. But 1 second, I'm going to try it to again. Um,
We saw your slide. However, it's just the first slide, not the third, right? When you're talking about ranking.
that's correct. So I should have moved. Okay. Can you see my
Yes,
screen right now?
yes, it's good now. Not full, but I can
Not
see
full.
the ranking slide.
Can you see it's moving?
Mm.
Is it moving to the next slide yet?
Not yet. Still showing still showing the ranking slide. I think that's fine. That's okay if you cannot make it full.
Is it working now?
Yes, it's working now, but it's not full.
It's not full, that's correct. I'm not sure what's going on with these.
Yeah, anyway, it's good. It's good if you cannot make it full. It's fine.
There's something wrong with the setting over here. So I'm gonna go with the full screen. I'm gonna go with each slide to make sure that you'll be able to see the screen right now.
Yeah, still can see the screen, but yeah, that's good. We can see it clear.
Okay. All right, sorry about that, everyone. These things happen when we do online webinars, right? I'm sorry about that. However, we just need to cope with that. All right, let's move on. These are the slides that I'm sharing during my presentation earlier. This is the map of New Zealand. And then you'll be able to see as well the work rights in New Zealand, as I mentioned before, from level 7 bachelor's degree and above they can also work 20 hours a week during their study terms and 40 hours a week within a scheduled break. And then after they graduate, they can apply for what we call a work study, post-study work visa. And of course, there will be a residence pathways as well. If they work in one of our green list jobs in IMZ's website, they'll be able to see that there will be a tier 1 and tier 2 options available for demand roles. Please refer to the IMZ's website for details of how to apply and what are the options available for students after they graduate. So here is the university ranking along with some information over here. So on the right hand side of the screen, you'll be able to see that picture right there, the photo right there. So I'm not sure if you know, this is the Beehive building, which is the Parliament building of New Zealand. And across the street from this one is our business school and law school. So imagine your students being studying in one of the most well-located universities in the world in the heart of Wellington City, very safe, surrounded by government buildings, corporate headquarters, things like that. Again, about the ranking, we are number 1 in New Zealand for research intensity, and we are top 1% universities in the world for 15 subjects, and one of the 23 5-star plus universities in the world by QS rankings as well. And some of you might have heard, if your students are interested in business, they want to study in a Triple Crown business school. In the world, there are over 130 universities that got Triple Crowned, and we are one of them. So the Triple Crowns are AACSB, EQUIST, and AMBA. So Vic Business School is one of them. I saw a question or something popping up.
Yeah, we can wait until we finish and for everyone to type the
Yeah.
questions and then we'll answer one by one.
That's good. So there's no problem with the technical issue anymore, right? I'm
Yes,
hopeful that
it's good.
everything is going smooth for now. Thank you very much, Chị Hương. And then there's a fun fact about the university. We are the hub of training prime ministers. We have 4 prime ministers graduate from here. So it is the highest number compared to any other universities in New Zealand. So if your students want to become a prime minister, Victoria Wellington is a place to go for. Okay? Okay, so next one is the picture of Wellington City as well as our campuses. This is the picture I really like about Wellington. It shows exactly what a compact city it is and also our campuses across the city center. So we have 3 campuses, PPTR campus, Kelvin campus, and TRO campus. Each of the campus is home to different schools. So for example, the PPTR campus, where I showed you earlier, is home to Commerce and Government School and then Law School. Both of these schools are in top 100 in the world for its reputation. And then moving on to the main campus, we have a Kelvin campus in the heart, in the middle. It is home to education, engineering, health, humanities, and social sciences, and then sciences. And last but not least, on the right-hand side of yours, that will be TRO campus, which is home to architecture and design schools. So because of the time limitation, I would not go into each of the programs. However, in each of the schools, I will be mentioning the outstanding programs that your students might be very interested to study. And these are only offered at Vic for some programs. For example, in the Business by Commerce and Government School, we have actuarial science. This is the only actuarial science program available in New Zealand. So you will be hearing this a lot in other countries, especially Australia, our neighbor. However, in New Zealand, Victoria Wellington is the only university that offers actuarial science at undergraduate level and master's level as well. So actuarial science is learning about risk management, risk control, and how to avoid risks. So remember, after you graduate, you can work in insurance, banking, corporate systems, things like that. They make a lot of money. Almost 100% of our students graduating from actuarial science get a job within 6 months after they graduate. Of course, we have MBA, International Business, Accounting, Finance, Marketing, HR, Data Science, anything really related to business that you can think of. And then actual architecture and design, one of the best architecture school in New Zealand. We offering them at both undergraduate and master's level. One of the great things about this one is that for undergraduate level, you do not need to submit portfolio when you apply for the Bachelor of Architectural Studies. So the BAS will not require them with a portfolio. We want to assess based on their GPA transcript along with their English proficiency, including IELTS, TOEFL, Duolingo in some cases, and PTE as well. However, for masters, of course, we want to require them with a portfolio because it's more going to be about advanced studies. Okay, so no portfolio needed for design or architecture at the undergraduate level. Law school. I do not see a lot of law students from Cambodia, Myanmar, or Laos. However, we are top 100 law programs in the world, and it's going to be 4 years instead of three like the other programs. It is no guarantee that students can transfer to the second years. Based on their performance of the first year, they'll be able to transfer to the second years. We also offer the Master of Laws and also international trade in terms of laws. Education. One of the very popular ones in education faculty is the Bachelor of Education, teaching early childhood education. However, it's very, very competitive to get into this program. As you can see on the screen, we require an IELTS of 7.0 across all bands when they apply for these programs, while the other programs only require 6.0 with no sub-score below 5.5. This one requires 7.0 across all subjects, all skills. So it's going to be quite competitive to get in. However, this is one of the really in-demand roles in New Zealand. We also offer the teaching diploma. If they have a bachelor's degree before that, they can apply for a graduate of teaching, primary or secondary, 1 year, and they can teach in New Zealand after they graduate. And of course, we do offer the Master of Education, psychology or educational psychology to be correct. Engineering. So we offer the Bachelor of Engineering's honors, 4 years, with the cybersecurity and network, electronic software, or the Bachelor of Science in a science stream. That will be a 3-year bachelor instead of four, like Bachelor of Honors Engineering. So AI, computer science, or computer system, data science, computer graphics are the majors that are very popular with international students. And of course, some of them are being offered in the master's level as well. Health. The most popular ones would be nursing or psychology, health psychology that students can apply for. Again, that will be based on the GPA transcript along with the English proficiency when we assess applications. And then humanities and social sciences. I would want to go for one of the very popular programs for Cambodians and Laos students. There will be the Master of TESOL. We are top 48, top 50 in the world for the TESOL and applied linguistics in the world by QS rankings. So if you want to teach um, English for non-native speakers, everywhere in the world, you'll be able to do that with the Master of TESOL or Master of Applied Linguistics in Victoria, Wellington, top 48 in the world. And then we are the only one in New Zealand that offers Bachelor of Psychology. Usually you will be hearing more about Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science in Psychology, but we offer Bachelor of Psychology with 9 majors for students can choose from, some of them being offered at the master's levels as well. All right. That is for undergraduate and master's. Now let's go talk about PhD studies because it's one of the really attractive things about studying in New Zealand, which is will be for 3 to 4 years once they enroll in New Zealand for their PhD option. And this is going to be a research program only. There will be no classroom, no lectures at all. And international students PhD pay domestic tuition fees. So that would be from 8,000 New Zealand dollars to 10,000 New Zealand dollars, which is very, very competitive compared to any other universities in the world outside of New Zealand. So 8,000 to $10,000 for 1 year. That is not including the living expenses in New Zealand. And of course, for master's and PhD students, they can bring their family members with them. So their spouse, their partners can work while they study up to 40 hours a week, and then their children can enroll in one of the in-state schools for free if they are under 18. And then Victoria offer a full scholarships that will cover tuition fees for 3 years plus $30,000 more per year for their living expenses in New Zealand. So that would be around $120,000 for 3 years. That's very generous, and we offer over 100 scholarships for PhD every year. So if your students are interested in PhD, contact Ms. Hung from Yes Education to learn more about the PhD application. However, remember that for PhD, students will need to apply themselves. They cannot use an agent when they apply. However, when you contact Yes Education, Ms. Hung will then send over a nomination form which will keep track and then get back to you once they enroll. For entry requirements, it's different from country to country. Please check the website or check with Yes Education team for support in terms of your specific case when you have one. And for scholarships, we offer $5,000 or $10,000 for successful applications. There's no automatic. They have to apply it after they get an admission offer, and that will be 5,000 or 10,000 deducted to their tuition fees for the first year of their studies. And then for Laos and Cambodia, you'll be able to apply for the New Zealand government scholarship, what we call monarchy scholarships. So these are only available for some countries in Southeast Asia. And unfortunately, Myanmar is not in the list at this point. However, this is for master studies, and you can apply for your students, and that would cover tuition fees along with living expenses and airfare or insurance to New Zealand. Okay, so that is all for my presentation. If you have any question, I saw a lot of questions coming in the Q&A chat box, so we can start answering questions right now. And if you have any questions that you want to ask me directly or Ms. Hung directly, please feel free to raise your hand and we can invite you to the stage to ask you questions as well.
Yes, thank you, Dean, very much for sharing a lot of information about the university. And I believe that after this webinar, you will have more choices when advising your student to study in New Zealand, especially in Wellington. Now, question time. I can see that there are some questions here. Dean and I will answer one by one. The first question is, can you share with us the job opportunities for international students in Wellington? Is it easy to find jobs?
Good question. I will have to be very honest with you. Getting a job right now is very, very competitive, not only in New Zealand, but everywhere else. I believe you have worked with multi destinations, and you can see that it happens across the world with the econ crisis right now. However, remember that Wellington is the place where we have the highest GPA in the whole nation, and 96% of our graduates earn a job before they graduate or within 6 months after they graduate. So it's a very high number in Wellington. There'll be a lot of jobs for you to look at. However, it is going to be students responsible to get a job after they graduate. But the university will have our career development center where we'll help them to build a CV, mock interview, the annual career expos happened on campus for them to be interacting with the employers right away, get a job on campus, off campus, and future employers. So we do what we can to offer them the best possibility to get a job after they graduate. Yeah.
Yes, I believe in you in that part because I visited New Zealand quite many times, and I can see that in New Zealand they are recruiting a lot of jobs, especially in Auckland and in Wellington, one of the two biggest cities in New Zealand. And regarding the job platform, SEEK is one of the popular jobs where students they can find jobs after they graduate, or even they are studying there, they can also go there and have a look, and there's a lot of jobs there. So just believe us. The second question is, can students can study English before studying undergraduate or postgraduate?
Yes. So we have our English Language Institute. We have the EAP, English for Academic Purposes, programs for those who do not meet the English language requirement, but meet the academic requirement for the undergraduate or postgraduate program. As long as they have an IELTS of 4.5, they can start with our EAP course. So for every 0.5 equivalent in IELTS band, they will study for 3 months, 12 weeks of the EAP course before they progress to their academic program. However, from what I experienced, or so Miss Hilma can talk about this as well, students should have at least 5.0 in IELTS or equivalent to start the EAP to obtain a better, chance in obtain a visa to New Zealand. This is also for visa purposes, not only from the school. Our school will accept 4.5, but at least 5.0 in IELTS or equivalent to better get a visa to New Zealand.
So is this apply for postgraduate as well?
Yes.
IELTS 5.0 minimum?
Yeah. For both undergraduate and postgraduate, so master's and even PhD.
That's good. So it's much more easier than studying in Australia at the moment. So you can consider,
That's
especially,
great. Go to New
yeah,
Zealand.
yeah. So student they can have the package offer of English and the mains program. So with the duration of English, about 20 weeks, right?
No, 12 weeks.
12 weeks minimum.
Minimum 12 weeks. So what happens at Vic is that we have two separate offers. So the first one is EAP and the second one is academic program. And we have a visa support letter, and students will apply for a pathway student visa to New Zealand. They pay the first course tuition fees, EAP, and apply for the visa, and then they pay the rest when they come to New Zealand.
Okay, that's good. So we move to the next question. Is the work right in Wellington is the same to Auckland?
Yes, it is the government policy, so it is applicable across the country, everywhere in New Zealand.
Yeah, that's good. Another question. We sent a student to an institution to New Zealand before, but they require the qualification needed to be accessed by what's this organization in New Zealand. So does this practice apply to all international students in Southeast Asia?
Very good question. So I believe when you apply for a program that is required to be a qualification assessment by an organization in New Zealand, that would be some very niche programs. That would be, for example, nursing and teaching. When you apply for a Master of Teaching and Learning in Victoria, you will be required to send your document transcripts to NZQA for assessment before we can accept your qualification. However, this is not applicable to all the majors. Some very niche programs like teaching and learning or nursing, they will require the qualification assessment. However, for the rest, there's no requirement for document assessment. So don't worry about that. And if your students are interested in one of our programs, all the informations are available on the website. And if you have further questions, Yes Education and myself will be here to talk to you whether your documents will need to be assessed. So don't worry about
Okay.
that.
That's good. Thank you for your answer. Another question is how many hours can students work part-time in New Zealand and also work graduate visa? How many years? And do they have to obtain a job offer to apply that visa?
Very good question. I like this very much. So I talked about this during my presentation as well. So within their study time in New Zealand, they can work 20 hours a week if they are studying in their semester or trimester. Within the scheduled breaks, like summer or winter breaks, they will be able to work up to 40 hours a week full time. And on average, the minimum wage right now in New Zealand is $23 per hour. And if they work 20 hours a week, it should cover them their living expenses in New Zealand. Once they graduate, they can apply for what we call a post-study work visa, up to 3 years. The length of the post-study work visa will be depending on their length of study in New Zealand and also the level of studies in New Zealand. So if they study a bachelor's degree for 3 years and above, and then master's and PhD, their post-study work visa will be up to 3 years. Okay? If it's less than 3 years for bachelor, that will be less than 3 years for the post-study work visa. And they do not need a job to apply for this post-study work visa. It is automatic assessed when they apply for the post-study work visa in New Zealand. Okay.
Yeah, that's really good. I also want to remind all of you that in Australia, you know that when students they want to apply the post-study work visa, they have to study undergraduate or postgraduate at least 2 years. However, in New Zealand, students don't need to study at least 2 years. However, it depends on the duration of the program that they study, undergraduate or postgraduate. That's they are bachelor or master programs, and so it's much more flexible.
Yeah, so just to add on to that, so that is for undergraduate, minimum 3 years for 3 years post-study work visa. For master's and PhD, it is automatic 3 years, whether it's
Okay.
1 year or 3 years. So it's very flexible for students to apply and look for a job. They have 3 years time to look for jobs in New Zealand.
Yes. So for example, study master 1 year, right? So still can get 3 years post-study work visa.
That's correct.
That's really great. So the next question is, could you please explain about the entry requirements in details?
Very good questions. So it depends on which country you're from. So for example, if you are from Laos and Cambodia, we will require students for undergraduate entry requirements. We'll require students to be enrolled and complete the first year of the universities in your local university. However, if you're from Vietnam, we accept grade 12 students to directly enter the university in the first year. So depending on where you are, all these details are available on the website, or you can reach out to whom or myself after for information.
Yes,
Hope that
it
answers the
depends.
questions. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on each program. So we move to the last questions. If three students 3 students
Yeah.
has finished their A level, can they join the first year directly, or is it depends on the subject's grades?
Good question. International curriculum students like A levels or IB, AP, they can directly enter the university from the time they graduate. So for A levels, we require three C's for their A level results to be directly admitted to the university. So yes.
Okay, I think so far no more questions. So we will wrap up the webinar now. Thank you, Dean, and all our agent partners here for spending your time with us. Please keep in touch, and I hope to see you soon in our next webinar trainings.
Thank you very much, Jihum. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining our webinar. Reach out if you have any questions. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good day.